the 24-hour day is a category of the mind. You can have a 25-hour day. You can impose this category on the rotation of the earth. Does that mean because this is a category of the mind, there's no difference between night and day? No, of course not.
One of the most interesting things I thought you brought up was how you believe that race is a construction of the mind.
Right.
And I really, really wanted you to dive in to how it's a construction of the mind and why it is we've kind of all been fooled into this kind of mindset by some certain elites that this is not just a construction of the mind.
Yeah, Jared began his segment of the debate by posting a picture. I think it was about 6 pygmy women in Africa, must have been the early 20th century, and standing next to him is a real tall Englishman in a pith helmet. And the opening ploy is basically, oh, there's no difference between these people, is there? Oh, well, then race is real, right? Well, the point I'm trying to make here is, look, obviously there's a difference between those pygmy women and this tall English anthropologist. Of course there's a difference, but that's a category of reality. The color of your skin, the shape of your nose, the kind of hair you have, that's all real. I'm not denying that. That's biology. Okay, but what you're trying to do is impose on that category of reality a category of the mind. And that category of the mind is known as race. And once you do that, you start adding value judgments, okay? And so before, at the beginning of this whole era, which it began, the first time the word white gets used, applied to people in the English language, is a play by Thomas Middleton, and I think it was 1609, which is right around the time that the Virginia tobacco colony got started. And you had 2 groups of workers. You had indentured slaves from Great Britain, and you had chattel slaves from Africa. And they wanted to divide the workforces, so they started emphasizing white versus black. At that point, white was good and black was bad. But now we have critical race theory, which accepts the same type of categories, and they just reverse the poles. So white is bad and black is good, but you're still saying the same thing. You're applying value judgments to biological facts. That's what I mean by saying you're imposing a category of the mind on a category of reality. Okay, the other example I gave was Donald Trump voters. That's a category of reality. You can find them. You can look up the voter rolls. They have names and addresses. Okay, that's a category of reality. Hillary Clinton described these people as a basket of deplorables. We're talking about the same group of people, but what we're talking about with Hillary Clinton's statement is a category of the mind that contains value judgments that she is using as a type of verbal warfare to discredit people she doesn't like. That's the distinction I tried to make at the beginning of the debate.
Can these categories of the mind as social constructions become a reality that we deal with, even though they're not actually real?
No, they are real. This is what I said. Like I said, the 24-hour day is a category of the mind. You can have a 25-hour day. You can impose this category on the rotation of the earth. Does that mean because this is a category of the mind, there's no difference between night and day? No, of course not. They are real in the sense that people create them. People create fictions. I held up a copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Yeah. That's a piece of fiction. It's a fiction. Okay, there was never an Uncle Tom. This is a piece of fiction. It exists as what it is. Okay, I'm just saying you have to accept it for what it is. Obviously, race is a category that has now been weaponized across the board in the United States of America. Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, all of these things are weaponizations of a category of the mind, but we have to keep in mind that it's a category of the mind. It's not based on what Jared Taylor says it's based on. It's not based on biology. It's not. That's the difference that he simply can't make.
I really couldn't agree with you more. One of the things that I had as a critique with Jared Taylor's opening on race, he really didn't get into IQ that much, which kind of surprised me. And he kind of went more with genetic markers to determine origins. and he didn't really address what differences he thought were fundamentally divisive between what he calls races as a construction. And that kind of surprised me, especially the fact that the only thing that I can really think of that you could see as being really divisive between races would be IQ. I can't really think of anything else that would be very divisive, and that's highly contested, isn't it?
Yes, it is. First of all, IQ is, we don't say good and bad anymore, but IQ is another word. Intelligence is another word for good. That's what you're saying. You're smuggling value judgments here and based on standardized testing. Now, in a sense, I'm glad he didn't bring it up because that is a whole can of worms all unto itself. And it would basically be, we need a whole debate just to talk about IQ. But to get into it, I think the best place to begin with that is Nicholas Lemon's book, The Big Test, which is a really perceptive examination of standardized testing to begin with. And that allows you to address the whole history of this thing and understand the different, how it was used, how it was weaponized. The shorthand of all of this is basically, if you select out for family, for example, the whole difference between black and white IQ disappears. It just disappears. Now, he's going to contest that, and okay, I understand you're going to contest that, but if we're going to do that, we really should have a whole debate on IQ and not confuse the issue by bringing it into this one. So I agree. It was a smart move on his part not to bring it in.
Yeah, in some ways, I wish that he had, because when I talk to what I would call race realists, I agree with them instantly the same way that you do, that of course there's physiological differences between human beings in different areas. We all know that this is like you say, an objective reality. But the only thing that they can ever really explain to me that they consider to be a divisive thing that really separates the peoples is the IQ. And I really think that is something that needs to be addressed at some point, either if it's in a follow-up debate with you and Mr. Taylor or not. But I really had kind of hoped that might come up, and it really just didn't. And I agree that it was probably a smart tactic on his part.